Mike, thank you for joining us. Go ahead and just start us off with your thoughts on today's match.
I think it was probably the tight contest we thought it would be. Just set the group there, really proud of the performance to put out there. We didn't think we'd have necessarily like a ton of chances, but we thought the chances we would get would be good ones, just based on how we felt they would approach the game, how our approach was. Obviously disappointing that the journey's ending here, like this season for this group, but yeah, I mean, credit to Gotham and Juan and the performance they put on. But yeah, I mean, it's tough. But I'm proud of the group. I really am, for the performance we put out there.
Mike, from your vantage point, in the final third, having a handful of chances but not quite getting that final moment, I'm wondering what you think was the difference sort of in those moments, and the inability to sort of get through that last hurdle.
Was it maybe decisions or just a bit of fatigue? I think at times second half we felt we would get some opportunities on transition through their build-up in terms of how we defended, tried to isolate Soph against Ali in terms of creating 1v1 there, and we knew how they like to progress. We thought there'd be opportunities when we win it centrally to then get beyond them. But yeah, the final pass was maybe just a little bit too heavy, or we just didn't quite have the legs to fully execute. But I mean, I think we had probably 3, I'd say 4 really good opportunities. Granted, their keeper hasn't had big saves to make. But yeah, it's just a little touch. Felt first half decision making on the ball wasn't great. Felt we played into the pressure too much when we could have played beyond it. We probably played beyond when we should have played into it. So yeah.
And obviously some lineup changes. Looking at those changes, at sort of the how it ended up working out in terms of individual performance and sort of tactically how things shaped up. What was your sort of evaluation there, and maybe the sort of reasoning behind some of those changes?
So I mean, listen, when you lose, you probably got to question the decisions, and it'll probably come down to it was a wrong decision just based on the result. But I've got reasoning why I did it. Obviously the Bella one was a big one. Bringing Shelby in, that was just, I mean, listen, I think when we looked at the Angel City performance, it was a tough call. It was tough on Bella, but I've made the move there. Thought Shelby did well tonight. Wasn't too busy. Came up with a big block save first half. The fullback changes, listen, I think we had some considerations around the possibility of 120 minutes tonight, return of international players. We really wanted to balance how we started the game and how we finished the game. So there was pros and cons to who starts, who finishes. But yeah, that was arguably how do we start the game the best and how do we finish the game strong as well. And if I look at how we finished the game, I thought we were the stronger team second half. Like tactically and technically and physically, I would say we probably were as well. And I felt we were pushing in the first half of the extra time. And then the goals just, we never quite got going after that. It just took the sting out of it.
Hey Mike, I know that's not the result you wanted, obviously, but can you just talk to us about the fan support and all 120 minutes they were there?
Yeah, incredible. There was a moment when I was sat on the bench. It was when we had a set play. We were defending, I think it was the defending corner towards the end of the first half. And then the whole PTFC, and it was just thumping. Like, it really, you could feel the support. And I think the great thing with this city and the support that we have is they're educated and knowledgeable fans. They could see the magnitude of that moment because we were on the back foot for the last 10 minutes of the first half. And momentum had gone their way. And it was just a big moment, and we knew on the bench we were riding that, but for the fans to acknowledge that and just the volume there of that was just huge. And And then through the end of the game, and when you're walking around there, yeah, it's like they're the moments. I think you've got to soak that up. So I think a big thank you to everybody who showed up tonight and across the season as well. So it was felt for sure.
4 of your 9 starters tonight, I believe, have contracts up the end of this year. Just you've been a part of this last 2 years, this run this team has been on. Just excellence all the way around. Knowing that this could be the last time that you are really with this group of players coaching out there, how does that feel for you?
Yeah, right now it hurts. Yeah, it's tough. I think whether you've got contracts up or not, I think the nature of this business, when you end a season, there's a very good chance it's not going to be the same group, and it was the same last year when you return the next season. So I think there's inevitability there, whether it's people out of contract or not. But yeah, I think there's hurt right now, but there's a lot of pride. I think this group's been through a lot. In my time with being with the club, and particularly in my role through the off season, through the season, it's been bumpy, but the group stuck together. They're a really resilient group. They take pride in the excellence in terms of how they show up every day for the fans, every day for each other. But yeah, listen, biggest thing I would say, a lot of pride. Obviously, I've fallen the group short. We haven't gotten what we wanted to, and I'll take the brunt of that. But I'm definitely proud of the efforts and the performances that they put out.
Piggybacking on that a little bit, with the expansion draft this year as well, is that playing a role in when you are looking at pursuing those free agency contracts, as free agents aren't eligible for the expansion draft?
Listen, I think we'll be shifting a lot of the attention that way now. We've had some attention on that, but it's been focusing on getting the performances and to getting to the championship final. It's a consideration, obviously, when you pursue. I also think it's in the players' hands as well in terms of them wanting to make decisions. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting, I think, few weeks ahead just to see how all that falls in place.
Mike, your first year leading the crew, where do you feel you kind of grew the most as a coach this year, and maybe some of the lessons you learned?
Where did I grow the most? Holy crap. Wow. Where did I grow the most? Listen, it's a tough one. And I say it's tough in the sense of growing. Like, when I think of growing, where have I been better than where I was at the beginning of the year? I think it's tough to answer, still being in the weeds, and I think it's really tough to answer right now. I hope I've grown or learned, I think is probably the biggest thing. Whether I've grown yet from the experiences, but I just hope I've learned from a lot of what we've been through, how I communicate with players, how I prepare the players. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. But I just hope I've learned from the lessons I feel like I have been learning on the go. And maybe when I step away from it, I'll actually see where my growth has come from. Sorry, I didn't really answer it, but...
No, I get it.
Growth happens every day.
No, it does. It does. You just don't see it.
Yeah. Yeah. So for you, Mike, obviously, this is a big off season for the club in general. Ownership change coming, and additional off season things to keep an eye on, as you've spoken about. For your role and for you in terms of staying on as coach, and where that decision comes from, is that a conversation with new ownership, with the front office now? Where does that stand for you, basically?
Where it stands for me is showing up tomorrow, doing what I need to do as a head coach. I don't know when them discussions will happen, who they'll happen with, but I just know I'm being tasked with a job to lead this group. I've obviously got to lead them through a tough time after a tough result. So, yeah, I'll not be showing up in the office tomorrow. I'll have a day, but yeah, I need to continue those responsibilities and continue to be a part of how we grow as a group, and I think as a team, and just continue to move forward for the future in whatever role that looks like.
Do you have a multi-year contract? Are you able to share that?
I don't really want to share that.
Okay.
All right, we just have one question online from John Lupo. John, can you unmute yourself? All right, John, if you're not able to unmute yourself, we might have to end this. All right, sorry about that, John. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thanks for your time, Mike.